Okay, so when I first got the email on November 1st that I was going to be selected for the PGC finals, it said to start thinking about your final presentation. And it very specifically said at the bottom, they gave advice about how TED Talk presenters prepare for their TED Talks, and it said, prepare well in advance. And I did, and I wrote a speech. But then as soon as I walked through that door, I was like, I don't actually want to say any of the stuff that I prepared. So all these cue cards and all the amount of time that I spent on the presentation and the speech are actually not really what I want to say. So a lot of this is just going to be coming from here. But the thing is that what I've been realizing as I've been hearing my wonderful teammates saying throughout this presentation is that, like, we had 23 hours and 59 minutes for 30 days to complete 3 or 4 challenges. A lot of the time we had absolutely no preparation that was possible, and it all had to come from the heart. And even though I was really nervous before, I feel a lot more comfortable now because this is how I was throughout the PGC. A lot of it was just pure me. And one of the things that was through all of this was discovering different parts of myself and how Project Green Challenge was. And during the intermission, I sort of spoke to Judy and I was like, I don't want to say what I wrote. And she said, just have it come from within. So that's what you guys are going to get. That was me 10 years ago, 2008, little Emma. I've always really loved nature, but this was before I knew that even though I loved nature and I love animals, I would end up being your average conventional teenager who kind of loved the environment, but didn't know a whole lot about different issues. And that's a picture of me taken in a vegan, vegetarian, organic restaurant in Montreal wearing 100% sustainable outfit on the last day of Project Green. That's my full body shot that I sent in. And I have a really bright smile on my face, and you can't see it, but a really conscientious heart underneath my shirt. And I was really sleep deprived at that time. And they say, you know, everyone knows, like, when you have been doing good things, you can sleep more soundly. I wasn't sleeping, but you know what? Every night I went to bed knowing that I was becoming a better person and that every day, even though I wasn't sleeping, I was making the world a better place. And now I'm catching up and I'm sleeping really soundly because I feel good. I feel great. And that's really all thanks to PGC. It was really a wonderful challenge because it wasn't about making us into the best, most perfect environmentalists we can be. There's no perfect mold. But every day was a theme. And it was very general, and they were guidelines for us because we're all from such different parts of the world. I'm from Canada. And so it was a guideline for us. It was a theme for how we could be innovative and creative in bringing sustainability into our own lives and into our own communities. And I have PGC to thank for that. So I study at McGill University. I'm in arts and sciences for this degree program that's fairly new. I'm a freshman. I'm just getting started. But it's called Sustainability, Science, and Society because it's blending biology and ecology and conservation efforts with ethics and environmental justice and intersectionality, all under the umbrella term of sustainability. And I mean, if we look back, like that's really, there's so much. That is literally what PGC was. That is my degree. But I didn't know that I was going to do PGC. I signed up for it on September 30th. And some of you might have seen my video. I really talked about how I felt like all the stars of my life were coming into place. Everything like clicked. Because this is, I think, what I'm destined to do. I really found a vocation of mine throughout this challenge. I sleep better now, knowing that throughout my PGC journey, I've seen the waste that I incurred and my friends incurred at the beginning of the month, and now I can bring my own reusables. I now shop at the grocery store and I recognize things around me that companies are doing, like having biodegradable pasta, coffee, stir sticks. Now that my eyes have been opened with this lens of conscientiousness, I'm starting to recognize things, and that helps me interact with people and make suggestions and inspire people because there's just such a wide variety of ways to incorporate sustainability into your life. I brought my zero waste travel kit to San Francisco because it's the PGC finals. I mean, you have to do something like that. I got to be president for a day, even though I have a prime minister at home, and which was really cool. But also, not only that, I got to discover things. Actually, you know what? I don't want to follow what I did. So I thought that it was really, really important to get people to realize the importance of what I was doing. I'm not really big into social media, but I had already had an environmental blog. And PGC was all about outreach and talking to people of our generation. Because it is true that we're the leaders of tomorrow. We're the leaders of today, we're the leaders of tomorrow. And what we do today really counts for how we're going to progress in the future. And these are just some of the social media things that I put out to try and appeal to people. And I actually was getting responses from people. People were coming up to me. I got a message from my third cousin who somehow came across it, I don't know how, saying that she'd like come across some of my things. And I was like, people are responding to what I'm doing and what I'm learning throughout these challenges, because that's what I was conveying to people, because that worked in my life, and I suggested things so that they could do it in theirs. And I also made some memes. It was really difficult at times because this was a very trying and tribulative emotional experience throughout the Project Green Challenge. There were a lot of issues where you realized that you couldn't really walk. Once your eyes had been opened, you couldn't anymore walk down the grocery store aisles without being infuriated, angered, and saddened by the mislabeling of products that were on the shelves. And that was really angering for me because I didn't want to see words being overused like sustainable and natural. And that made me want to write a letter to my politician, to my Canada's Minister for the Environment. And that was something that really, it showed me that having political efficacy, it's important. It's really important to talk to politicians because they do listen. And that's the only way that we can enact change, is if we look at something that's beyond who we are. That's the only way that we're going to be able to inspire changes, if we start with ourselves, going from conventional to conscious. And that's what I tried to do with every single day of Project Green Challenge. So this was during the letter writing. And after I realized that since we all, we're not like a walking nudist species, so everyone wears clothes. But now I wear clothes proudly. This right here is actually bicycle shorts that had a hole. So my shirt is actually bicycle shorts, but like flipped around. And this is thrifted, and these are the shoes from PGC, and this is my mom's. So, I walk the walk, and is it walk the talk? I don't know. I lead by example, because Project Green Challenge for me was about not really fitting into that mold. It was about making the mold for myself. And that's how I feel good. So now I go thrifting. That's actually a little like sporero in French. I don't know the word in English. That's what I made with an umbrella. That's something that I now feel comfortable wearing out in public. Trashin', I call it. I also became really aware. This is something that I do want to talk about. I will stick to script for that. In Montreal, one of our biggest intersectional issues, which no one actually really talks about, is Indigenous populations. And we talk about homelessness and drug addiction and drug abuses, which are for Indigenous people. But one day I was coming back from a meeting with my environmental res council, and I saw this couple sitting on the curb, and I stopped and I kept walking, and then I broke down on my way home because I was thinking the settlers came in hundreds of years ago and ripped away their culture and their spirituality, which had always relied on being stewards for the environment. And then we settlers, we ruined the environment, and now we're trying to come in, swoop in, and be the eco-heroes while we continue to mistreat our Indigenous populations here in North America. And I called that out, and I gave a presentation to a bunch of people, and I talked about how this was colonization of Indigenous ecological conservationism. And that is something that is so prevalent around my campus, and that's a discussion that I want to see continued, and I will continue it as an ally, both on and off campus. So although I really wish that I had had the time to talk about some of the other things I did, I really hope that my passion and what I've learned was exuded just in the spiel I got. Some of the things that I learned about myself throughout the challenge was that there are so many more sides of me. There's the side of me that's the lobbyist, the author who wrote an article about energy consumption of my school. There's a vegan to me. I thought I was just vegetarian, but I can be vegan too. I'm a conscious consumer now. I vote with my dollar, and I do get out and vote because that's really important as well. there are really all these sides to me. I love art and I love activism, and now I'm an artivist, as I like to say, because of all the art that I did, which conveyed my message and was well received by people, because that's one of the ways that is me. That is environmentalist activist Emma. And that is how I was best able to inspire people around me, because that's the best you can do in this world. We're all given one shot, and it's up to you. And it's thanks to projects and challenges like Project Green Challenge that will help you to discover that wonderful side of yourself that you never even knew could possibly exist. And so this is like the fifth slide of my presentation, but thank you so much for your time and your wonderful support. I love all of you. I thank you, and thank you.